But Deven Choksey is with us. He's been waiting by. I'm Managing Director at DRChoksey Finserv. Deven, good to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks very much. Let's start with a big one, Reliance Industries. After many days, showed some signs of life, was up about 1.7% or so. I think I saw two calls. One is Bernstein, and I think there was another one, which are now starting to essentially refer to the fact that valuations have come into very, very attractive kind of levels. Maybe it needs triggers or whatever. But what is your own sense, Deven? RIL, buyable these levels?
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Well, considering the fact that in 2025, we are likely to see the separate listing of geo platforms, that is going to be the valuation unlocking. That is what we expect out of Reliance in this particular period. As such, I think the geo platforms annualized basis is talking about 1,20,000 crore worth of revenue and about 60,000 crore worth of EBITDA. So obviously, I think this particular listing, separate round out geo platform, would mean that valuation unlocking would probably, I think, start taking in from Reliance and shareholders. Significantly important, I think Reliance Retail going forward is on a similar course as we believe. So I think both these possibilities could possibly drive the stock price. Whatever the second quarter earning impact came because of the issues in the refining business, I believe that I think it's a matter of past. I think the business condition looks much stable now. And maybe I think the workings of the company in the third quarter will be normalized as far as the refining business and its margins are concerned. So overall, I think our approach is to consider buying this particular stock in the portfolio. We continue to hold, but I think we continue to buy in corrective downside as far as the investment outlook is concerned. We remain positive on that.
Okay. Deven, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show as always, and Happy New Year to you. I want to talk to you about the jewelers, because if there's one thing that's not slowing down, it's jewelry demand. Very, very clear, because the updates from both Titan and Kalyan were very, very encouraging. And especially Kalyan. I mean, Kalyan is still growing at close to 40% their India business. How do you look at some of these listed plays? The problem is stock prices have run up so much. We were just discussing this yesterday. 2 years ago, Kalyan used to be, I think, around 150. Today, Kalyan is at 750, 770 thereabouts. So not sure how much is still left on the table. Your thoughts?
Yeah, good morning, Sukhbir. Wish Happy New Year as well. Well, I believe that, I think, as you rightly said, everything is in price today. Definitely demand conditions remain absolutely very, very bad. And the jewelry market is certainly attracting the higher amount of wallet share from particularly urban consumers, more importantly for the listed companies. But even if you go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, I think some of the small-time jewelers also are having buzzing business. So which means that allocation of money by the urban consumer as well as the rural consumer is moving towards the gold and the gold jewelry related businesses. So from that particular point of view, yes, I think the business condition looks, I think, quite stable for them. Not too sure whether it's a buy opportunity, particularly because I think everything is in price. These companies, they operate out of thin margin as such. And probably, I think one will have to see how exactly the higher valuation sustains. We like the activities, I think, because the consumer is spending, but at the same time, the valuations are not allowing you to consider it.
But Titan, I mean, just to follow up on that, Deven, Titan hasn't done anything this year, right? And the market is talking about going back, looking for large caps, which have been ignored. So does Titan fall in that category? It has pedigree behind it for sure.
Good company, but valuation says all. Like, the valuations are not cheap. Right? I believe that unless you have corrected valuation, I think one will not be actually buying the stock immediately.
By the way, you guys talking about Titan and Kalyan jewelry. Look at Goldium International. Not artificial, sorry. I should correct myself, lab-grown diamonds.
Yeah.
Goldium was up 18%. It'll come up on your screen. I don't think it really has any institutional investors or anything of that sort. But I think it's got one large individual investor. That's about it. Big gains. I think a year ago it was $150, close to about 500 rupees now. And I remember asking that question about lab-grown diamonds to the Titan management for the last, I think, 8 quarters. Slowly that at least maybe looking back, I feel the acceptance, the realization, and of course, I think they're also now starting to, through other arms, sort of make forays into the lab-grown diamond space, retailing them, etc. But that's another big one. Deven, any thoughts on this one at all? I don't know if you have coverage, own it, seen it, Goldium?
We have not covered Goldium, but lab-grown diamond business as a whole, I think we have been following it for the last few many years. I believe that I think this business is going to grow and grow big because ultimately the consumer wants to spend money provided it is affordable. And earlier theory was that diamond was bought for the purpose of as an asset class. In the lab-grown diamond, I think they use it for the purpose of consumption. So certainly, I think this particular activity is likely to grow. We are likely to see some of the larger players also from the diamond industry getting into the lab-grown based diamond and jewelry in times to come from now. That's what we gather. Zurio is something which Tata Trent has basically created, in which the lab-grown diamond jewelry business has started. So in my viewpoint, I think this is going to grow big, but we don't have coverage in Goldium, so won't be able to speak much about that now.
Just to round up this conversation, I was trying to rack my brain because I read this just a couple of hours ago. Finally, the name came to me. It's De Beers. De Beers is partnering with the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, the trade body, to promote natural diamonds. The fight between lab and natural is so real that a huge giant like De Beers has thrown its hat in the ring, saying we need to protect our turf. So they're going out to trade bodies, export bodies, saying no, natural is still the way to go.
You go to movie halls, theaters, and I think I've seen those ads in it becomes too repetitive, but exactly that.
Yeah.
Natural diamonds are natural diamonds. That's the real thing. That's the real stuff. So of course, the industry will push back. Absolutely.
It's a tough turf to protect, I'm sure.
It's a tough turf.
Diamond expert here.
It's tough to keep the wife away from thinking about diamonds, whether natural or this.
That's why he's silent.
Deven, let's get back to the stocks, Deven. I want to ask you about a couple of these sugar-based, companies like Balrampur Chini as well. The hope was that we are going to be hearing something with regard to an ethanol price increase, which has got delayed for very, very long. And that's why these stocks have been weakish. Now that chatter is back. What's your view on these stocks at current reckoning?
So, Nigel, we do like, I think, the entire ethanol component in the sugar space, and certainly believe that it is because of ethanol, the re-rating of most of the sugar companies definitely has happened. Going forward, I think this is likely to continue further as well. However, I think with one caveat that the policy regime of state government as well as the other central government on various aspects, I think, will always, affect this company's near-term activities. So from that perspective, one remains a little bit mindful. Whether I think one could buy in the portfolio, I think structurally the change has already happened, and most of it, I think, is being set into the price. But corrected downside in some of the stocks, I think, would probably mean that there will be some headroom opportunities available in this. We remain clear about it that the entire activity, I think, of mixing the ethanol with the fuel is definitely going to gain further momentum, and the policy regime is, I think, definitely supporting that.
All right, Deven, we'll leave it there for now, but we'll take a quick, commercial break at this stage.